But I know it wouldn't even be an issue if parents would sack up and tell their kids to get off the fucking phone. Democrats are still afraid of the mean girls who police their far-out fringe. But parents used to tell them, that's ridiculous. The world doesn't work that way. Not today's parents. They say, you're right, honey. Gender is just a social construct. Please, sometimes your mother and I forget which one of us has the...
So Bill Maher's battle with the woke left is raging on. And this time he shredded them for being spineless cowards. The comedian torched his own party not for losing to Republicans but for bowing to wokeness in a savage gloves-off monologue. Maher roasted the DNC, branding them a party built on weakness. If unapologetic, no-filter anti-woke takedowns are your thing, smash that subscribe button and let's dive in.
Democrats need to get their shit together because we need two parties in this country, and we desperately need the one that still concedes elections, doesn't sell the office, and doesn't want to completely switch out democratic rule of law for a rubber-stamped autocracy. But that party is so right now, and nothing to me symbolized that more than this video.
The DNC is teetering on the edge of collapse, and they have no one to blame but themselves. The numbers don't lie. This party is bleeding support, sliding into irrelevance with every passing day. But because they've traded strength for cowardice, principle for pandering, and vision for hollow slogans. Instead of standing firm on what's right, they bend the knee to every unhinged demand from the woke mob. Sure, they're masters at hurling insults at Donald Trump and inventing scandals about him. But when it comes to cleaning up the insanity within their own ranks, suddenly they're silent, spineless, weak, and if they don't change course, the Democratic Party won't just be in decline. It'll be extinct.
Why do I say that? Well, let me put it this way. I don't know for a fact that this couple are Democrats. I just know it's true. First off, the man is at a Coldplay concert. And while Republicans could like Coldplay, they don't, but they could. It's unlikely that this guy is a Christian conservative because he was having an affair with a woman.
Not minding the subtle jabs he throws at Republicans and Donald Trump, I can say without hesitation that Bill Maher is right on the money. The Democratic Party has built its image on this false sense of moral superiority, as if they're above reproach and incapable of doing wrong. But that high horse has become their prison. As Maher pointed out, Republicans love them or hate them, tend to face their controversies hidden. They own their mistakes, sometimes even doubling down, but at least they don't run and hide. The DNC, on the other hand, would rather bury their failures, deflect blame, and pretend nothing ever happened. That's not strength. That's weakness disguised as virtue. And the more they cling to this illusion of purity, the more they lose touch with reality and with the voters who see straight through the act.
I knew they were Democrats for the same reason I knew this was a Democrat. You can't hide from the kiss cam, and you can't hide in the Oval Office. Damn, if only the lady at the Coldplay concert had brought some folders with her, maybe she wouldn't be in hot water today.
Maher's point couldn't be clearer. Democrats, be bold. Stop playing scared. Gretchen Whitmer clearly thought it was safer to keep her White House meeting with Trump under wraps, fearing the inevitable backlash from her own party rather than from the opposition. But guess what? The photos leaked, went viral, and she ended up getting dragged anyway. So what was the point of hiding? She didn't just look cautious, she looked weak. Contrast that with how a Republican would have handled it. They'd have marched out of that meeting with cameras flashing, chest out, and headlines blazing, unapologetic, and unbothered by the outrage. That's exactly Maher's argument. Democrats can't win hearts by cowering. You can't inspire voters if you're terrified of your own shadow. If they don't find some courage soon, they'll keep losing, not to Republicans, but to their own cowardice.
Democrats seem to be afraid of everything. They were petrified of COVID, masking 2-year-olds who never would have died from it and keeping schools closed for far too long. They're definitely afraid of their kids.
The whole CO saga was a sham, not the virus itself. But the way Democrats handled it, which exposed their true character, shutting down schools for months, even when data showed kids weren't at serious risk, was a reckless decision that set an entire generation back. But worse than the bad policy was the hypocrisy. They told us to mask up, stay indoors, and obey every mandate while they slipped off to private parties, fine dining and gatherings with no masks in sight. That wasn't leadership. It was cowardice dressed up as virtue, rules for the people, freedom for the elites. And when you preach one thing but live another, you lose the moral authority to lead.
Who from time immemorial have always come up with bad ideas. They're kids, thinking up stupid shit, what they do. But parents used to tell them, that's ridiculous. The world doesn't work that way. Not today's parents. They say, you're right, honey. Gender is just a social construct. Please, sometimes your mother and I forget which one of us has the...
And sadly, these woeful ideologies have completely infiltrated our media space. Turn on the television today and you'll notice a disturbing pattern. Parents are almost always portrayed as bumbling fools, while the kids are painted as the wise, all-knowing heroes. It's not subtle, it's deliberate. And the worst treatment is reserved for dads. In sitcom after sitcom, in movie after movie, fathers are depicted as clueless, lazy, or downright irresponsible. Gone are the days when dads were shown as leaders, protectors, or role models. Instead, they're reduced to punchlines, mocked for not understanding their own families, while their children save the day with wisdom far beyond their years. It's cultural programming designed to erode respect for traditional roles. And it sends a dangerous message. Adults are the idiots. Children are the authority. And that's not just entertainment. It's indoctrination.
You know, she has my balls. I mean, I don't know if we're still banning TikTok. That was before we changed the rule in America to Trump decides what's a law. But I know it wouldn't even be an issue if parents would sack up and tell their kids to get off the phone. Democrats are still afraid of the mean girls who police their far-out fringe. Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton had a perfect score on LGBTQ issues from the Human Rights Campaign. But when he said, I have 2 little girls, I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete, his own campaign manager quit. And the chair of the Salem Democratic City Committee, Liz Bratt, accused Moulton of being, quote, what is known as a cooperator in Nazi times. Yeah, I think the word you're looking for, moron, is collaborator.
Moulton was perfectly fine with the woke crowd, cheered on even until the moment he dared to speak out against their sacred policies. That's when the tide turned. Overnight, he went from ally to enemy. Proof of how ruthless the woke mob can be when one of their own strays off script. And that's exactly why so many Democrats keep their mouths shut. They aren't silent because they agree. They're silent because they're terrified. The threat of cancellation looms large. And in today's political climate, cancellation isn't just losing followers. It's losing your career, your reputation, and your future. The woke machine thrives on fear. And it's working. Democrats who privately grumble about the madness on their own side dare not say a word publicly because in their world dissent isn't dialogue. It's heresy and heretics are swiftly destroyed.
Imagine that, a congressman merely stands up for the liberal principle, the one we do still call Title IX, that women get an equal shot in sports, and now it gets you labeled a Nazi. The reason Gretchen Whitmer looked like a toddler playing peekaboo in the Oval Office is she's afraid of the Liz Bratts of the world and the 12 social justice warriors on the internet and what they might tweet to their 7 followers. Alyssa Slotkin calls her party weak and woke. She's right. People vote on instinct. They can smell fear a swing state away, and they'd rather have strong and wrong.
And that in the end is why they lost the election. Because they simply couldn't muster the courage to stand up to the woke crowd. Instead of leading with conviction, they bowed to the loudest voices in the room, forgetting that those voices don't represent the majority. The truth is, the woke crowd is a minority, but a radical and hyper-vocal one, especially on the internet where outrage trends faster than facts. They scream, they shame, they bully, and before long, the Democratic Party bends the knee every single time. And what happens when you let radicals dictate policy? You alienate the very voters you need to win. Ordinary Americans don't want to live under the tyranny of Twitter activists. Yet, Democrats keep handing them the steering wheel. Elections aren't one-on-one hashtags, they're onion-own backbone, and that's exactly what the DNC lacked.
Having sex with Stormy Daniels was wrong, but Trump didn't hide from the camera. Quite the opposite. It looks like he said to the photographer, "Widen that out so you can get these He's got his mugshot hanging outside the Oval Office. He's literally got a guy working for him named Big Balls. It's like if Gavin Newsom had a henchman named Perfect Hair.
Trump has never shied away from his mistakes. Even when the left has tried to weaponize them against him time and time again, he doesn't hide. He doesn't retreat. He doubles down and pushes forward. They've thrown everything at him. Endless investigations, media smear campaigns, and even attempts to cancel him outright by trying to bar him from running for president. Yet, despite all that, he's still standing, still fighting, and still commanding massive support. Meanwhile, the Democrats show the exact opposite behavior. Instead of owning up to their failures, they bury them. Instead of standing tall in the face of criticism, they cower before the woke mob, terrified of offending their own base. That's the difference. One side embraces the fight, the other hides from it. And in politics, weakness isn't forgiven. It's punished at the ballot box.
Gavin comes here. People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for.
Yet, here's the irony. The man you didn't vote for, the one you've endlessly criticized, the one you constantly brand a dictator is the very one who invited you to the White House. That single gesture speaks volumes, not just about Trump, but about the left and how they truly view people. Bill Maher has spent years casting his vote for Democratic candidates, defending their agenda more often than not. Yet, not a single one of them has considered him worthy of an invitation or even a serious conversation. They ignore him, dismiss him, and take his loyalty for granted. Meanwhile, the so-called dictator extends a hand. It's a telling contrast. The Democrats demand obedience, but offer nothing in return, while Trump, vilified as the enemy, is the one who shows a willingness to engage. And that in itself is political irony at its finest. At the end of the day, Bill Maher's critique exposes a brutal truth. The Democratic Party is crumbling under its own cowardice. Instead of leading with courage, they bow to the radical fringes of the woke mob, trading strength for submission. They silence their own, punish dissent, and cower behind moral posturing while Republicans charge forward unafraid of criticism. The hypocrisy during COVID, the weakness in confronting radicals, the arrogance of ignoring loyal voices like Maher's. All of it adds up to a party that has lost its backbone. Trump, for all his flaws, stands unbroken because he owns who he is. Until Democrats learn that lesson, they'll keep losing battles they should have won. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the subscribe button and ring the notifications bell for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.